food and living conditions, there wasn't much available. I don't know why I was detained, but it was administrative detention based on secret files and unknown reasons. During my last hearing, the prosecutor told me my detention was due to security concerns, merely because of the war, nothing more. Of course, all the female prisoners were subjected to physical abuse. Just before we were handed over to the Red Cross, we were beaten by Israeli prison service forces. Some girls had their hijabs forcibly removed. Others had dogs unleashed on them. We didn't know anything because we were cut off and isolated. We only found out through the prison director who told us to prepare and wear the grey prison uniform. That's when we realised there was a deal, and we started to take it seriously. First, the prison forces entered the section. They told us to keep quiet, used vulgar language and so on. Thankfully, we were released. Not all my detentions were administrative. There wasn't a specific purpose, just to make our lives miserable. You're imprisoned without knowing why, and unfortunately, extensions are issued multiple times. For me, they extended my detention 3 times, each for 6 months, without any evidence or proof justifying my continued imprisonment. The prosecution and Supreme Court refused to release me. They told me I would only be released as part of a deal when the war ended. We live in an occupied land. In every Palestinian home there's a detainee or a former detainee. This is common across all Palestinian families. God willing, the deal will continue, and we trust in God and our resistance to secure the release of all prisoners.
As a ceasefire is in effect in Gaza, Israel has continued its controversial military operations in the West Bank. A shocking video circling on social media shows an Israeli sniper shooting a Palestinian child in the back. A warning, this story contains disturbing footage. The video shows the boy falling to the ground and shouting after one loud shot. Now, the sniper left the child to bleed before he was helped by a nearby Palestinian. Reports say now that the boy is in critical condition. The latest footage from the Tulkarm and Jenin refugee camps show Israeli forces destroying Palestinian homes and infrastructure. The Israeli defense minister visited the Jenin camp and warned that the IDF would remain there. He said the camp will not return to what it was.
The IDF is working hard in the Jenin refugee camp and in other camps to thwart terrorists and destroy the terrorist infrastructure, as we saw here today. The Jenin refugee camp will not return to what it was. After the operation is completed, IDF forces will remain in the camp to ensure that terrorism does not return.
Actually, the Israelis, they differentiate or they separate between, they believe that Gaza is a separate case regarding the ceasefire agreement. That is why they are acting freely without any restraint in West Bank, especially in Jenin. They are giving themselves excuses that they are defending their security and they are attacking what they call as a terrorist, while we know that they are attacking the inhabitants of Jenin. The title is defending the security. The excuse is to prevent what happened in October 7 to occur again in the West Bank. However, we know that these are only excuses, and Israel is trying to benefit from the situation now, from the political transition, from the political vacuum in Palestine, in order to implement its big project, which is occupying the whole Palestinian territories and pushing the Palestinians to leave the West Bank and to leave the different Palestinian territories.
Israel has forbidden the UN Relief and Works Agency from working in Gaza and the West Bank. Israel's ban on the agency, known by the acronym UNRWA, has just come into effect. Earlier, I spoke with UNRWA Communications Director Juliette Touma. She said there was no other means for providing the services that her organization had covered.
Our teams on the ground, whether it's in the Gaza Strip or across the occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem, they are continuing with the delivery of services. We don't have much idea on how the Israeli government plans, if it does want to plan, the implementation of this bill. Over the past 10 days, since the ceasefire started, we have seen indeed a significant increase in the flow of humanitarian aid that was brought into Gaza, distributed to people. 60% of all aid that came in was brought in by UNRWA and distributed to reach hundreds of thousands of people, including in areas that we were not able to access before, like northern Gaza. So that's very welcome. Now, if this ban on UNRWA comes into effect, then the fate of the ceasefire is going to be put in jeopardy, because we are the largest humanitarian operation organization in Gaza. And we have something that is often underreported, and that is the trust of the communities in Gaza. They know UNRWA, they trust UNRWA. For them, UNRWA is life-saving. It's the doctor, it's the nurse, it's the person who's giving them a box of food or of aid. So there is that trust, which is very unique to UNRWA.